In a forgotten village surrounded by cracked lands and dry winds lived a poor farmer named Ramu. He was thin, with sunburned skin and calloused hands that told stories of years of toil, pain, and perseverance. Every morning before the sun even touched the earth, Ramu would walk miles to his tiny field with a rusted plow and an old ox named Bowler. His hut, made of mud and straw, stood at the edge of the village with no electricity, no modern comforts, just memories and dreams. Ramu had lost his wife to illness years ago because he couldn't afford medicine, and he was left with his only son, Amin, a curious boy with dreams as big as the sky. Amin always asked questions. Baba, why do we always eat dry rotis? Why don't we have fans like Ryu's house? Why do you never smile? Ramu would gently pat his son's head and say, one day, son, the rains will come and our fields will bloom. But for 7 long years, the rains had forgotten their land. The crops died before they lived, and Ramu's debts grew like weeds. Yet, every morning, he prayed to the sun, worked the soil, and hoped. One evening, after a long day of digging, he sat under the banyan tree, his son asleep beside him. He looked at the stars and whispered, what wrong have I done? That night, he had a dream where his land was green, his son laughing, and his wife smiling from afar. The next day, determined and broken, Ramu walked to the city to seek work. For months, he lifted bricks, carried cement, and earned meager wages. Half the money went to feed Amin. The other half he saved not for himself, but for seeds. One day, while working at a construction site, he overheard a discussion about a new irrigation technique using underground water channels. The words struck him like lightning. He gathered information, borrowed books, learned from city farmers, and with a borrowed phone, watched videos. He returned to the village with an idea, a heart full of courage, and a few tools. The villagers laughed. This madman thinks he can bring water from the ground. His poverty's stolen his mind too. But Ramu didn't respond. He dug and dug, deeper than ever before. His hands bled, his back screamed, but he kept digging. Armando Yan helped by fetching water and holding the torch. After weeks, they struck something. Cold, clear water gushed out like a blessing. Ramu wept. The field drank for the first time in years. He planted again cautiously, prayerfully. The days passed, and tiny green shoots peeked out from the soil. Amin ran through the field laughing. Ramu's neighbors watched in disbelief. The land, once cursed, was now singing. Slowly, people came to him asking for help. Ramu taught them the technique, guided them, even shared his saving. Within a year, the entire village changed. Where there was dust, now stood crops of wheat and mustard. The local officer heard about this miracle and visited the village. Moved by Ramu's resilience, he arranged a meeting with the district collector. Ramu, who once didn't know how to hold a pen, now stood in front of officials explaining sustainable farming. Aman watched proudly. Offers started pouring in. NGOs, agricultural departments, and even news channels wanted to know his story. But Ramu remained humble. I'm just a farmer who didn't give up. With support, the village built better irrigation, a school, and even a health center in his wife's memory. Haman studied under solar lights, dreaming of becoming an agricultural scientist. Years passed. The boy who once asked why they ate dry rotis now shared food with other children. Ramu's hut was rebuilt with bricks and dignity. But he still woke early, still walked to the field with Bola, still prayed to the sun, only this time with gratitude. One day, Amin stood on a stage in a big city, holding a gold medal, saying, everything I am is because of my father, the poor farmer who made the earth listen. Tears rolled down Ramu's face in the front row. The crowd clapped, but in his heart, all he could hear was the wind blowing through green fields. The story of the poor farmer became a legend, not just of a man who fought poverty, but of a man who dared to dream when dreams were too expensive. And in that dream, he gave his son wings, gave his village hope, and taught the world that true wealth lies not in gold, but in grit, love, and soil.